Django Unchained. I was seriously considering calling this analysis Django, the worst Australian representation movie ever.
The f*** are you talking about?
But I've changed my tune since then. Quentin Tarantino, for better or worse, doesn't compromise. He puts 100% into everything he does. Well, except for lessons with his vocal coach, of course.
Shut up, Black.
So when Tarantino decided to create Django Unchained, a brutal slave epic starring the likes of Jamie Foxx, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kerry Washington, Christoph Waltz, Don Johnson, and Jonah Hill for like 2 minutes, he would do so unregrettably. Now, Tarantino is no stranger to controversy. The man's been pushing boundaries ever since Reservoir Dogs and has continued to do so well into the 2020s. The man makes fun movies. You might not like Kill Bill or Jackie Brown, but you have to admit, the man has a talent for making movies that make you not want to check the watch. And when I say Tarantino movies are fun, I say so in terms of being hyper-violent, very abrasive, just comical movies that don't pull any punches. However, Django Unchained is that one movie that I feel had a lasting impact, a stain, if you will, on Tarantino's discography. On paper, it sounds like a match made in heaven, You think Tarantino, you think hyper-abrasive, hyper-violent, you think slavery, it works. But comical? Yeah, probably not. I mean, nobody's making the argument that slavery was funny. Nobody is making a Disney show doing jokes about slavery with a laugh track. No one's saying slavery! But Django Unchained uses a lot of comedy. Surprisingly well, actually. It uses comedy to sort of satirize slavery, to point a finger at the forgotten ideologies of society's past. So Django Unchained. Let's blow this popsicle stand. Or shall I say dental carriage.
Auf Wiedersehen. Bullseye.
Let's talk about humor real quick. Humor is a filmmaking tool often used to provide some type of catharsis or to ridicule something. For example, just in this video alone, I've ridiculed Tarantino's horrendous Australian accent in 2 jokes already.
You got something to say, mate. You say it.
Make that 3. But I'm using humor as a device to point ridicule, to make fun of, provide some type of emotional catharsis while listening to this podcast. Because yes, we all know my voice is great, but to be honest, it probably wouldn't sustain your attention for too long without other types of auditory cues or humor to keep you engaged. That being said, understanding humor's role in film becomes really important when you're discussing movies like Django. It asks questions. Is it ethically correct to make fun of a situation like slavery, to poke fun at it, to satirize suffering? Arguments can be made for either side, but I would say, yeah. Harkening back to what we just said, comedy is used to ridicule. Tarantino was using comedy as a way to make fun and mock the ideologies of 1850s Mississippi. All the characters that embody racist and hurtful ideologies are killed in violent spectacle for our entertainment, while Django quite literally dances on their burning graves. I'm not joking, you guys. Django quite literally blows up a house, hops on his horse, and makes his horse do the stanky leg while Sam Jackson's corpse is just burning away right behind him. A direct example of comedy being used to ridicule would be the way that the KKK is portrayed within the film. The KKK are an infamously racist society whose practice has handicapped civil rights campaigns for nearly a century and a half. But in this film, they're portrayed like buffoons. If there's a problem in 2020 saying films can't make fun of the KKK, I sure can't see it.
What about you, Robert? Can you see?
Not too good.
Tarantino allows the audience to laugh and poke fun at these idiotic men as they rip and tear holes in their bags and get pissed off at each other for not cutting the appropriate sized holes for their rating masks. But not only is this just a funny scene, but there's also a power dynamic that shifts between characters here. Where these white men were once in control, they find themselves bumbling and falling directly into the trappings of Django and Dr. Schultz. So not only was humor used effectively in the fact that it ridiculed the moral compasses of our villains, but it was also used to directly bolden and empower the character of Django in this moment. Django, being the character who ends Big Don Daddy Johnson's life with a shot to the heart, is the one who fully completes this comical/dramatic catharsis. Try saying that 5 times fast, by the way. Big Don Daddy Johnson, Big Don Daddy Big Don Daddy Johnson, Big Don Daddy As impossible as that turned out to be, it's important to note that humor continues to embolden Django's character until the very end credits. As Django becomes more comfortable in his freedom and in his own identity, he gets more and more humorous as a character. This leads to one of my favorite moments in the film. Here, have a listen.
Cole, before you go, will you tell Miss Laura goodbye?
Do what now?
I said tell Miss Laura, goodbye.
Bye, Felicia.
I'm pretty sure that's how that one went. I'm not surprised, though. Dr. Schultz said he always had a flair for the dramatic. In conclusion, I think comedy has lots of healing factors, and its inclusion in Django Unchained is warranted. It empowers the characters, engages the audience, frames the narrative, smooths the pacing, and above all, gives me a reason to end a podcast using this audio clip.
Django! You uppity son of a... He's the guy who's the talk of the town with the restless guy.
Auf Wiedersehen.